All right, let's do it live on a Tuesday edition of the program. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z. Sun is out. Brisk.
Beautiful.
The sun is out. You and I look like we could go play a cool foursome right now.
Let's go do it.
In our two attires. We could go right to the first tee.
Let's go.
And let it go.
Well, yours is, this is beautiful little.
I love it. You love a baby blue.
It is. It's not quite a Carolina blue.
No.
Maybe a little bit deeper than that.
Could be. Not quite UCLA. Maybe in between. Maybe a Columbia blue.
Columbia blue, yeah. And that's LD's brand, isn't
2008 Penguins Winter Classic. There you go.
G-Man, you always come in a big way.
Coming in a big way.
Always coming in a big way. You and I had a shared experience last night in that we both watched the most recent episode of 1923 adjacently. You had started earlier.
Yeah.
Normally, I need the children to go to bed for that, but I'm like, blanket. I'm just going to go to the office and sort it out.
Yeah, I got to
and just knock it out. And I knew my wife was not going to have much interest because her interest in that has waned because of the tone of the first 4 episodes, which have been just brutal.
Well, the first 10 minutes, we're not going to reel her back in. They were going to confirm
so when you text me
and
because you were watching, you texted, you said the first 10 minutes. And but I'm right. I was walking the dog. I'm walking Buddy Garrity, and I get the text from you about the first 10 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna this is it. This is determination day. Like, are we in or are we out? Show friends or show business?
We had the talk. Yeah.
And if this doesn't get better quickly, and I still think we're in for a lot of grueling stuff. I think a lot of L's.
I do, but at least they gave us. I think they acknowledged that they needed to give us. It was almost as if they were listening to us because then they gave us a few wins.
5 hours of television, and we're still not to Montana. Not even close. He's in Texas. She's on a train to Boston.
He's had a very circuitous route, to say the very least.
I didn't understand the thing with the cop, the sheriff, who's now a bootlegger. And why does he need him to drive?
I don't think he was a bootleg. I think he wanted to find out where it was going, and then they went in there and they shot everybody.
Shot them all up. Yeah.
They're like, "This, we're going to eliminate this operation.
Like, put an end to this.
Literally eliminate them." He's like, "Yeah, where is he? Where is he? Like, my guy was up in Memphis or whatever, right where I shot him. Bang,
bang,
and then he shot that. I'm like, okay, it's on. Yeah, that was. At least we got a few wins.
I also Googled what was the first international airport in Montana?
Okay.
That's Central. Okay. And it was actually Billings, Montana, in 1926.
Okay.
So it's in the realm of where...
I also went and looked up when the first ski resort opened in Montana. And I was shocked to learn it was like in the 30s?
1936. Showdown, which is where I grew up skiing. Showdown ski area, which is where I get doing it. But that's... 13 years later, the first ski resort in North America was in Colorado,
which would have
predated this,
which makes me think, like, why did it take so long? The Colorado one, if I'm not mistaken, was in like the 1910s.
Teens. Yeah, the teens. The other problem that I had with it though was like the idea that they're obviously just running back Yellowstone season 1 and 2.
That's what
the idea that like Montana had only been a state for 11. It's only been a state for 34 years by this time. This is still the wild, wild west. I mean, there's images. You go to Glacier National Park, there are images of Native Americans in the 1910s in full headdress and spears, like in Glacier. You go there and they have these pictures of it. Like, it was still incredibly remote and incredibly primitive. The idea that people are going to come here to recreate. People are just trying to survive. When I was a kid, people would go to Montana to recreate.
Yeah. Well, and they're talking about how harsh the winter is, but it's like, no, come here for the winter.
Yeah.
Come here at the highest points in the state for the winter.
Couldn't even get there.
And it was, so a couple things. Number one, right. So every season, it's somebody wants to build a resort, a casino, whatever, on their land.
Always, yeah.
Okay.
For 100 years.
So this has been going for 100 years. You'd be like, again?
More people?
By the way, I also think you'd have your like remedy to fight it way more in place 100 years later than it appeared that they did the first time. I think they're just like, oh, well, this is what we're going to do. I also thought it was pretty cool, though, that it felt like to me the train station was actually introduced in this episode that we know gets a lot of use 100 years later for the reason that no judge, no jury, no anybody, no sheriff.
No crime.
No crime. By the way, how does that exist? How's there's a large place of land that no one is policing or cares for
county
whatsoever?
A county without population.
County without
but still recognized.
Or anything.
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't ask questions. They do the last point I'd make on is they do the classic thing with the Dalton character where, and they used to do this on Game of Thrones a lot. It's one of the kind of tricks of anti-hero television. Our guy's not great, but these guys are way worse. These guys are way more deprived. Like we see this a lot in dramatic television where like Tony Soprano's really bad, but he's nothing compared to like Ralphie and those cats, like what they're capable of.
Yeah, they're real. Those are the real bad
Those
people.
guys are the real cruds. Like you see it in Game of Thrones all the time. Like our guys are not great, but these guys are way worse.
Yeah.
And they did that with the Dalton character as well. So the scene, I can't wait for him to get out of winter. I can't tell. My hunch is they didn't film in winter because when I hear them talk, I don't see the breath.
Yeah.
Which I feel like you would see when it looks as cold as it does.
Yes.
But it looks bleak. It looks very, very bleak. G-Man wants to know, is Tuesday the worst day of the week in the weekly power rankings? By putting that in there, G-Man, you must feel like it is.
I'm not a Tuesday guy.
With my mindset of First Friday, Tuesday is a tough spot.
So
Tuesday's always in a tough spot.
Tuesday is like second Monday, except on Monday you have the energy from the weekend.
That's fair. Yeah, I like it, G-Man.
That's where I'm at with things.
So the reason whatever happens on a Tuesday. Tuesday's
Elections,
a total.
yeah.
Okay,
Tacos.
great. They had to do that to give it some juice.
A little juice.
So, I mean, it's to me. So you got Saturday is one, right? Because you've had the best.
Can I parcel up? I think Friday night's one.
But see, Friday has still Friday
it still
day.
has Friday.
Saturday has
like if you give me after work Friday, like if I can pick them in 12-hour intervals, then after work Friday, whenever that is for you, that's apex. But yes, other than that, Saturday's one.
I think it goes as I'm going to give you my quick rankings as it goes right now.
I think Saturday's one. I think Friday is two.
So I went Saturday 1, Friday 2, Sunday 3.
Yep.
Thursday 4. Now I could 5 and 6. I could be talked into either one, but I actually went Monday over First Friday because Monday you have Monday Night Football, you have Monday Night Raw. Like Monday's still a good there's good programming on a Monday, and then I went First Friday and then Tuesday.
So I would go Saturday clearly, Sunday the 2 because you're still off.
Yeah.
So I think that the morning and all day Sunday makes up for when you were a kid, like the last couple of hours of Sunday night. Like when I was a kid and you heard 60 Minutes, you're like, oh God, it's done.
Yeah.
Or when
done.
the Sunday Night Football theme starts, you're like,
I'm so damn old. They didn't even have Sunday Night Football, G-Man. So when you heard tick tock from 60 Minutes, it was like, oh God, it's done. What's on now? MacGyver? Like what's going to get me to 10 o'clock? I don't know. So that Friday is better than that, but I still think a full day off. Then I go Friday 3rd. I go first Friday 4th because that's actually is a way of life for me.
Over Thursday?
Thursday to me because of my mindset of First Friday is like a first part weekend, and I've done First Friday for 20 years. Like the thinking of that, Thursday's kind of a drag for me. It's a little bit of a drag. I got to get back up.
Football. It's the start of the NFL week.
I mean, but that's a short time, and a lot of times those games are medium. So yeah, I like a first Friday. Then I go Thursday. Then Monday, because I got energy Monday. Like what happened over the weekend, we got a lot to discuss. Yeah. Monday's fine, and it is Tuesday. And NBC on the way to school today, he said that as well, that this is his worst day of the week is Tuesday. Tuesday sucks.
Tuesday, there's nothing. Nobody gets excited like, oh man, it's Tuesday. Cool.
You're right. Even on Monday and Thursday in football season, you have football.
Yes.
On those days, there's nothing on Tuesday.
Thursday for me at college was always like a big night. That was like the start of getting it going.
Same
we
here.
were Tuesday on Tuesday night was the one that started. It was like, okay, let's go.
See, that was like we didn't have a day off, but if there was a day off, it was Tuesday.
It was Monday for us. Monday was the day off for us.
No, because Monday we always had wrestling or football.
Yeah, Mondays was off. Mondays, if there was one off, Mondays was the day you went to the sports bar.
Okay.
So if there's two types of mindset of like college, there's like sports bar with the buddies, have beer, eat wings, watch football, whatever, big Monday, right? Starting Tuesday, though, it was like, all right, we got to find some chicks.
Thursday was a sacred day
Tuesday.
for me and the boys at Kent State.
Thursday?
Sacred day. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, you basically got it whipped at that point.
Yeah. As a journalism major, absolutely.
You're good, baby. You get to Thursday. You're cruising.
Yes.
One of the things when I was thinking about going to the University of Colorado was the folks there, they don't schedule classes Friday. They do all of their workload through Thursday.
Okay.
And then Friday off so you can ski.
Yep.
So they think about that. That's a 4-day
like it.
work week. That's a win. Tuesday's not great. There's never been a great television show that was only on Tuesdays.
I can't think of one.
All the other days had things.
Yeah.
I think FX maybe tried owning Tuesdays at one point. Like way back in the Sons of Anarchy, Justified world, I feel like those shows were on Tuesdays, but I could be wrong.
I mean, Tuesday just said clearly. I mean, they're like, we're going to glom onto tacos because
Tacos here was an opportunity.
They give us a chance. They give us a chance to be in the game.
Yeah, we had tacos last night. Went on Taco Monday. It's hard to sell corned beef and cabbage to kids. Tough sell.
It's actually pretty good.
It's all right. I don't mind it. It's fine. I prefer it with sauerkraut, though, which is German. So if I go corned beef and sauerkraut versus corned beef and cabbage, it's probably a crossing of streams situation.
I know I am in the minority here, but I like corned beef either by itself, but it has to be really good corned beef.
Yeah.
And I don't like it when it gets too thin. Then
it's got to be.
I need to have a little thickness to it. My favorite accompaniment, though, is always barbecue sauce. I like a corned beef with a barbecue sauce. I think some reason that works well together.
A lot of people go Thousand Island with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's good, I like it just by itself.
If it's good, I like it by itself.
I can't eat a lot of it. Like
no, it's so salty.
So salty, it's almost overtakes.
Yeah.
I suppose if I would have been really organized shepherd's pie, I could have tried to make a shepherd's pie.
They made a great shepherd's pie here yesterday.
Did they?
I mean, it was really
lamb
terrific.
and beef.
I just gave myself one
down there?
scoop.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Good job out of them.
No, it was
because I would think that's a relatively ambitious dish.
It's just because of the layering kind of that has to go into it.
Yeah,
but it's not that bad, and it's a hearty meal.
It's heavy. Yeah.
It's a hearty meal.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's the way that thing hits. Darren says he's going to Bridger Bowl next week. Ever been? Any recommendations for Bridger Bozeman? I have been. I've been to Bridger a lot. You're going to love it. You could. You're not that far from Livingston as well. I would say Rockin' R Bar was a big haunt for us. I'm guessing it's still thriving, which is right on Main Street in Bozeman. Bozeman's been certainly a ton of money has been thrown into it. So there's a bunch of like 5-star stuff there too now. But Rockin' R Bar is an institution. And then if you go to Livingston, the Murray Hotel, Sam Peckinpah stayed there towards the end of his life and like shot it up. But it's a legendary place. Bourdain went there when he did Montana. There's a great restaurant there. The Mint Bar in Livingston also, Darren. That would be a winner for you.
The Mint Bar.
The Mint. It's pricey. I mean, it's everything you'd want the Mint Bar to be.
I feel like that.
I feel like every town in Montana has a Mint Bar, by the way. All right, some NFL news. Brown safety Juan Thornhill reached an agreement with the Pittsburgh Steelers on a 1-year deal per Rappaport.
People are bent out of shape. He made the video. I think it's fine. I do think I was bummed for him, though. I thought he needed to edit it because on one of his last swirls of the terrible towel, he whacked himself in the face pretty good.
I didn't see
you
the
didn't
video.
watch the video?
No.
Oh, you got to watch the video. Did you watch it, G-Man?
I did, yes.
Did you see what I'm talking about?
I didn't see him hit himself in the face.
Oh, watch it. It's like the
I
second to last.
it.
The second to last.
This
swing
is on like his social
on
channels?
his social. Yeah, yeah.
I
And I liked.
I think it was a
and
TikTok thing.
I think the truth is, it's on his Twitter for sure. That's where I saw it.
The Here We Go Steelers thing?
Yeah. So he's gonna like. No, that might just be a GIF. Go down.
Yeah, that's just a GIF.
Maybe people took it out. Just if you go and we can search Juan Thornhill and it'll come up like on the top ones. There it is. So he throws that and then watch the towel wave. So he's swinging it and then right at the end here he's gonna go. Wham! He whacks himself in the face.
He whacked himself.
Yeah.
So that's why he
thought
pulled
he'd
it.
edit it out. I thought he'd edit it out.
He should have stopped the edit sooner.
Yeah. Juan was a great guy when he was here.
Yes, he was. Couldn't say
Obviously last year there was a play against the Saints, and he, at least he manned up and took ownership for it. It didn't work out here. That calf injury the first year, and then the calf bothered him again this year. Remember, he got knocked out after the very first game of the year this year, missed 4. So I feel bad for him. Obviously, I feel bad for the Browns as well because they did not get what they invested in him on the field. And he'll go to Pittsburgh, and I think he and Minkah Fitzpatrick make actually a pretty nice little safety pairing there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, happy for him that things are good. Unhappy that it didn't work out the way that it probably should have for us here. But there it is. But I hold no ill will. I mean, he got cut by us, so he's allowed to be excited about signing somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think the league's just a lot different.
Yep.
You know, years ago, like you were a Steeler, you were a Brown, you were a Bengal, you were a Houston Oiler. That's done. I mean, how many guys play for one team now? Sometimes
Very few.
A quarterback only.
Yep.
Every once in a while you have a Hoff situation. Hopefully we have a Miles situation. But,
Yep.
like, it is so rare
Yep.
for a player to play their entire – like Clay Matthews, 19 years here. Like, it's just done.
Yep.
And so in those days you play an entire career with a team or the majority of your career with one team, and it's like, how could you go play for the other team? But now – I mean, these guys are all short contracts. None of them are – a lot of the contracts aren't guaranteed. So it's just finding a job is what it is, and that's their mentality to it. So I just think the game's changed a lot in terms of how it goes. So to hold it against him, he's looking for work.
He's looking for work.
You know? We cut him. He's looking
We
for
did
work.
not, right. We had another year on his contract here. It's not like we said no thanks. So, yeah, he's going to go find work, and certainly don't blame him about that at all.
No. Does not bug me at all. Pro Day's starting to get rolling a little bit at some of the big institutions. Oregon today, Alabama tomorrow, Miami on the 24th, Texas on the 25th, Ohio State the 26th, and then Penn State the 28th, Colorado on the 4th. What's interesting, because today I'm sure we have some of these mock drafts in here at some point. G-Man?
Yeah,
I know we got Costco. Costco's going to
We
join
got
us at 2.
Costco. That is the mock today, and he'll join us at 2:00.
There were new ones today, Jeremiah.
Yeah, Jeremiah and Kuiper both dropped. It's funny. People were like, why did these drop today? Like, nothing's changed. And I'm like, because it's the Tuesday after the Monday when the NCAA tournament was released, and they need something to talk about.
Yep.
And so Jeremiah dropped his, Kuiper dropped his. Both of them had us taking Abdul Carter at number 2 overall. Both of them had Shedeur Sanders going number 3 overall.
And being like, we bring stability for the first time since Eli Manning.
Yeah, but the Browns are going to draft a defensive end and play opposite one we already have. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know why the rules can't apply to us, why they apply to everybody else. Haven't we been looking for a quarterback?
Yes.
Like, come on.
We've only taken a quarterback in the top 10 twice since 1999. I think we all are aware of the success or lack thereof during that period, which would have allowed for multiple swings at a quarterback, and perhaps we wouldn't be in this mess. But we find ourselves in this mess because we have not gotten that right. Like, let's go.
Yes.
The great Holly Sandy.
The best.
Yes.
The best. Yeah, so like when I see this stuff about how both those mocks went, I went, really? What are we doing? What are we doing? So just in terms of guys to watch for there, a lot of those are quarterbacks. So obviously you get Cam Ward on the 24th. Quinn Ewers would be on the 25th. Will Howard the 26th. Today would be Dylan Gabriel out at Oregon. So he'd be like more of a middle round pick. Penn State, obviously Abdul Carter, and then Shedeur and Travis on the 4th of April. So that's where you stand on all of that. Tad bit of NFL history. For the first time in the modern draft era since the merger in 1970, each NFL team owns their first-round draft pick at the start of the new league year. G-Man wants to know, there is no way this stays this way all the way up to the draft, right? Who are some candidates to make a trade out?
Out? Or just trade?
To give up your first-round pick this year, to me it would have to be
somebody
going way up
32
and trying to go way up.
But that's just a swap, though. You're saying who would?
I'm saying like
who would
what,
not
what
have
would
a
need
first round
to
pick?
happen for a team to not have a first round pick?
It's a team picking at the end of the first round where they get out of the first round and a team comes up from the second round.
That's it. Yeah, you're
That's
right.
it. Because other ones are just swaps. Like
Jackson Dart falls.
20 to 2.
Shedeur Sanders falls.
Right, they're still in the first round, just in a different spot.
Yeah,
that's the only way to get out.
Anybody who goes up, you would get that one and the next one.
Right, exactly.
So you wouldn't have that. So it would just be at the end.
Yeah, I'd say if 24 to 32 or 20 to 32, team picking 20 to 32, they get such an offer from somebody picking 33, 34, 35, 36 maybe even to come into the first round, and they are willing to exit the first round.
All right.
That's it.
So here are your, you said 22 to 32. So that's the Chargers aren't. I wouldn't think they would trade theirs.
I'd even say like 20. What are the Steelers? 21.
21. Now
let's say that there was one quarterback left that was of interest, and that people thought the Steelers were going to take him. I think you could see somebody go from 30
to 20.
To 20.
That's where Denver picks, and they have him taking your boy McMillan at 20. Yeah. Then it's Green Bay, it's Minnesota, Houston, Ramit, Ravens at 27, Detroit at 28, Washington 29, Buffalo 30, KC 31, and Philly is 32.
I could see Washington maybe moving back if it's small, like if they're moving 29 to 33, which would be us, 34, 35, and they pick up something because they gave up pick, remember, for Laramie Tunsil to like buttress their future drafts. I could see something like that.
Or Philly at 32.
Yeah.
I could see that. Like some quarterback had slipped, Shedeur or Jackson, and somebody doesn't want to risk us or Tennessee take him at the top of the second round.
Yeah.
Jump up to 32, and Philly's always been a team that's pretty good with asset management.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's probably about the only way that could go.
Probably
Major League Baseball is underway. The Dodgers beat the Cubs this morning 4-1 in Tokyo. This felt like it happened in a closet, right?
I mean,
until you said that out loud, I didn't know it.
I had no idea. I got on my phone this morning to start looking for stuff, and they were like, Shohei Ohtani gets the first hit of the Major League Baseball season.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah. They had apparently in what Japanese baseball culture is when you introduce a guy to bat, they go silent. So they don't cheer, they go silent. So like Ohtani, when he went to the plate, it was silent as a sign of respect. So it gets you thinking about him. So he's on back-to-back MVPs. He's going for 3 in a row. Travis Hunter, who I voted for the Heisman, and I think did something that has never been done before in college football. When he said a couple of weeks ago, like what he's trying to do is harder than what Ohtani's doing. No, not. There's been other guys who have played both ways in football, not to the extent that he did. There's no precedent for it in college. You got to go way back 50, 60, 70 years. Ohtani, the only one to ever do it is Ruth. I mean, you're over 100 years.
Yep.
Since you've had somebody be the best hitter in the game and a top 10 pitcher in the game when healthy, which it seems like what he is.
Yeah.
So that's one of one. That's greatest player of all time stuff.
Yep.
Is what he is. So maybe Travis gets there, but not yet.
I'd like to watch him try to hit one of Clase's fastballs.
Ohtani?
No, Travis Hunter.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if he would do that well. Now, his coach could probably get a bat on it.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Coach Prime could. Yeah. He's a hell of a baseball player. All right, this was today at school for your spirit animal.
Okay.
So today was Animal Day.
Beautiful.
Right? Animal Day. So what we had kind of decided is, hey, let's wear like a jersey with an animal or something like that.
About a Montana Grizzlies,
Montana State Bobcats.
Yep.
Something like that would be lovely. So I think we got a lot of this gear. Like let's go that. He comes down the stairs in a head-to-toe, full-on Tigger Halloween costume.
You know, it's funny when you said to me that he was having Animal Day, I thought of the animals that my spirit animal would want to be, and I thought of a dolphin, a tiger. These are true, and he did take tiger.
Yep.
And then the other I thought maybe would be a nod to Montana as like a grizzly bear, and I could also see him as a bald eagle. But I don't know if that's
soaring.
If that's animal, I don't know.
Oh, it is. Yeah, that's animal.
It is an animal.
Yeah,
It's
so
more
he
of a
comes
bird.
downstairs, and I should have known it was coming last night after I had texted with you and I got done walking Buddy Garrity. He was down on the court, and he was playing basketball in the Tigger outfit, like just getting shots up.
So he wanted to practice.
So I think he wanted to see if he
to school.
That's
can
how
I still
he's-
hoop?
That's you getting into his head. You know exactly
course.
what he thinks.
Well, yeah, we think
I didn't
the
think of that. That's exactly what it was. He was like, "Can I still play hoops with the boys if I'm in the
I'm
Tigger
Tigger."
out?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out he could.
So he's like, check.
So he comes downstairs in it, and I said, "Buddy, first of all, I'm laughing. I'm like, you look great, spectacular.
Yeah.
Love the energy, enthusiasm, and
The
zest.
zest.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to be Tigger for a day, right? The guy's having the best time ever. He just bounces around.
Yeah.
So, but I said it might just be that this is a little bit of a distraction in the class, at recess, at lunch, and maybe that this isn't necessarily maybe we shouldn't for those reasons." And so he goes,
I have to push back on you there, Dad.
well, I'll
It's
tell you how it
Animal
goes.
Day.
I'll tell you how it goes. So he goes, okay, that's okay. And he unzipped it, and he had like a Philly Water Dogs like PLL jersey with a dog on it. And I'm like, that's perfect. So fast forward, we go to drop off, and we drop off. And I said to my wife, I said, was there anyone else that was dressed head to toe that he missed out on? And she said, not one. So I go, okay, we led him
All right,
wisely.
good.
He's not out. We did the right thing.
Yeah.
It would have been something where he would have been a big center of attention, and
Which he would have.
which he would have enjoyed. But also
thoroughly.
there would have been, maybe it could have gotten negative at some points.
Well, because we are one and the same, It would remind me of when I was a young man, and we had a water day at school, which was going to consist of like water balloon fights and all these different games outside. It was in the summer or whatever. So when I hear that it's like water day and there's water balloon fights, to me that means like as soon as I step on campus,
Go time.
it's on.
It's on, dude.
So I, being the young, zesty person that I was, came armed. I had water balloons at the ready. Cracked a couple of the eighth grade girls on the swings. Oh. And guess who didn't get to participate in water day anymore?
Shut you down?
Shut me down. Out.
What'd I do?
What I do? It's you said.
You set the
this
rules.
is a day of water balloon fights and water fun.
No.
I was having fun.
It had to be. It had to commence.
Yeah, it had to be, I guess, like organized chaos.
And now we ring a bell, and
then
now we
it's
can do
okay,
it.
right.
Well, wait a second.
That's what I'm saying.
You said water balloon day.
It didn't say anywhere water balloon activity and fun
remember
cannot commence until 10 a.m.
Do
It
you
said
remember the
water
girls
balloon day.
you went at? Like, were they ones that had annoyed you?
No, they were girls.
Or they
that-
were just girls. They were just
I
in the
knew
mix.
them. They were girls that I knew because I was.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I was young, and
Yeah.
so then you become like the. I don't know if this happens anymore, honestly,
Yeah.
in our society, but like back then, I feel like the eighth grade girls would always find like the young guy, like not in that way, but like the young boys to be kind of like their mascots, basically.
Yeah.
So they would
supportive.
like,
yeah.
So they support like a mothering.
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Like you were
No,
kind of
yeah.
like they were like your school
Yes,
moms
yes.
and.
I know what you mean. Yes.
And so, yeah, it was like people that I knew like that. So
Yeah.
they kind of thought it was funny. And my punishment, though, was to spend all day in that eighth grade class, which actually wasn't much of a punishment at all. But I did long to be out there throwing more water balloons.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they do those things anymore.
No.
No, not at all. All right, there you go. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospital's official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. John Costco is going to join us at 2:00. We will go over his mock draft. He's very high in Jackson Dart.
He is, and we got big stuff to talk about when we come back. Big, huge. We're going to take you on a trip.
Do you remember?
Some might call it a journey.
Do you remember the finale of The Sopranos?
Oh. How could you not?
How could you not? That, among other things, coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Welcome back in. Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. I think that there is disbelief in what's actually happening here around the draft. And it's all real. It's been real.
It's real and it's
going to be
spectacular.
real and it's going to be spectacular.
Yes.
But it's almost like, well, wait a second. That can't really be. But no, it is.
And you're referring to the Browns draft party this year.
That's
2025 draft party. 4 season ticket members. It's the draft party, and season ticket members, they get in there for free.
That's
for
right.
free. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee Journey. Again, this is a free concert for all season ticket members. Again, it is a free concert for all season ticket members. Free. It's taking place at Huntington Bank Field. Journey is playing a full concert. This
Full
is a
concert.
Full concert.
Yep.
Journey.
Yeah. Don't
Free.
stop believing, baby.
Don't stop believing. This is happening Thursday, April 24th, starting at 6 p.m. until the draft begins at 8 p.m. So you're getting a 2-hour concert with Journey.
Yep.
I imagine you might see Journey after the number 2 pick in the draft. I would
feel like you
imagine
might.
that you could.
I think
we could maybe even get our heads around the direction that might go.
Yep.
You can transfer and or resell your seats. It is true. Food and beverage available, dog rewards benefits are in place. And here's the thing. So if you're a season ticket member and you have 4 season tickets, you know how many free tickets you get to this Journey concert? 4. If you have 6 tickets,
I mean, you get
6 free tickets.
that's right.
You get a free ticket for every seat on your account. It will be, quite frankly, the single biggest draft party in the National Football League in the year 2025. And some are saying it is the biggest draft party in the history of the National Football League for a single team.
I think a lot of people are saying that.
We can't say it isn't.
I think it might be. Stadium,
And it's going to be
Journey,
60,000
concert.
people. Maybe more. Who's to say? But that is the deal. So I know people are confused about it because it probably sounded too good to be true. What's the catch? No, if you are a season ticket member for the Cleveland Browns and you have renewed, you're in, you're ready to go. If you're a season ticket member, you will get 1 free ticket for every seat on your account to this. Yes, it is Journey. It is the real Journey. They are playing a 2-hour free concert.
How great, man.
Thursday, April 24th, starting at 6 p.m. And like I said, you can transfer, resell your seats, but if you want to be there, you want to see Journey, you get to do it for free. I will not stop believing in the Cleveland Browns. I will not stop believing in Journey, and I will not stop believing in the fact that this draft, you can be in that stadium when the Browns announce, hopefully, the quarterback of the future, and it'll be a heck of a time, man.
Dude, it's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable night.
This is what I'm saying.
And they're from your homeland,
Yeah.
San Francisco.
What a place.
You know that I just was pulling this up, they've sold over 100 million records, 110 million records
Feels like a lot.
for the folks at Journey.
Yep.
That's a lot. That's a lot of records. So that's awesome. That's going to be a really cool night, and that only amplifies it. Who do you think has sold the most albums ever?
Can you give me a genre?
Rock.
Band?
Yep. It's who you think.
I don't know if it is who I think. Aerosmith?
Aerosmith's high? No. The Beatles.
The Beatles.
Yeah. Beatles between
U2?
total claim sales of between 500 and 600 million.
Wow.
Certified units 295.9. Michael Jackson is 2.
So I thought Michael Jackson, King of Pop.
Yep. Elvis Presley is 3. Elton John 4.
Wow.
Queen 5.
Okay.
Madonna. Led Zeppelin,
Zeppelin, I was on the tip of my tongue as well.
Rihanna, and Pink Floyd.
Rihanna. I mean, when you
Rihanna.
think about where Rihanna being on that list compared to everybody else that's on that list is a pretty good account. There's not a whole lot.
I mean, she
Also,
has the most verified.
How can they even comprehend record sales anymore?
So they have claimed sales, but then they have verified units. And Rihanna actually is number 1 on that. 411.2 million verified units.
Wow. I don't even know what a unit is in this
I
case.
don't either, but that's
Good
a
for
lot.
her.
Yeah. Beyonce way up there.
Yeah.
There you go. That's awesome. So that's very good. In addition to that, you have some other things you want to clear up there as well? Go ahead. Go ahead.
So,
the business of the day?
yeah, the Browns actually 4 minutes ago just released a press release that says the Haslam Sports Group today reiterated its actions and investments to ensure a thriving long-term future for the Cleveland Browns, its fans, Greater Cleveland, and Northeast Ohio. Apparently, there's some response to the Modell litigation that's going on now. And I'll just kind of get through some of the highlights in here. The heart of the commitment would be a new enclosed NFL stadium and mixed-use development to be built in Brook Park, Ohio, without impacting any existing taxpayer revenue streams and relieving Cleveland of any stadium-related taxpayer expenses. Centerpiece of the project, the state-of-the-art enclosed stadium for the Browns, consistent with other world-class NFL stadiums that can host major year-round events, sit less than a mile from Cleveland city limits, anchor a mixed-use development to catalyze meaningful economic impact for Cleveland and surrounding region. Its location, the heart of the greater Cleveland metropolitan area, is particularly important, with 85% of home game attendees living outside of city limits. So one of the things about the Modell law that was, invoked is talking about a team breaking a lease, moving the team to a different state. That's what Art Modell did.
Yep.
There. This is the Browns are not moving out of Ohio. In fact, the Browns are moving to Brook Park, which, as they just said, is a mile from the city limits of Cleveland.
Not even moving out of the
Not
county.
even moving out of the county, staying in Cuyahoga County, and this is an investment in the county of upwards of $2 billion of the Haslam's own money. Ted Tai Wong, the HSG's chief administrative officer and general counsel, stated, "City has never explained how the Modell law could sensibly apply to the Browns, who will continue to play games in its stadium until the expiration of its lease and whose owners have committed to keeping the team in the local area long after the lease expires. In fact, the Haslams propose unprecedented private investment in a world-class stadium and surrounding development, and their continued unwavering commitment to Northeast Ohio are the complete opposite of the Modell situation." He says this a lot better than I did. "It's also important to recognize that at least 10 NFL teams play their home games in metropolitan areas outside of the city they represent, so our proposal is entirely consistent with other hometown teams across the country. Fact. Our actions in court are intended to ensure that the city's irresponsible and baseless attempt to apply the Modell law to the Browns does not slow our momentum to build a world-class stadium right here in Northeast Ohio for the Browns, our fans, and the Northeast Ohio region." So today's filing affirms that far from running from the Cleveland area, HSG is reinforcing its commitment and increasing its investment in the region in an unprecedented way. HSD, together with its development partners, is committing to invest more than $2 billion in private capital in a total project that would represent $3.4 billion in economic development. Here's what D and Jimmy Haslam said, quote, "The Cleveland Browns and our community need and deserve a new home, and from the outset we have been unequivocal that it must positively benefit our community in Northeast Ohio. The proposed Huntington Bank Field in Brook Park meets this vital objective and will reflect positively on our world-class region and its promising future. It also reflects our 100% commitment to keeping the Browns in their home market for generations to come." And there it is.
You and I
understand.
know how great this will be.
I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get why anybody's upset about it.
I don't know that they are. I mean,
I don't understand any pushback at all.
It's going to be unbelievable.
Yes.
Like, you've been to
revolutionary
Minnesota. It's the same folks, and it's years of technology on top of it.
Yes.
So it will be what Minnesota is plus.
Yes.
You think about the venue around it, the ease of which to get in and out. Like, come on. I mean, this is, and let alone all the things that you and I have been talking about long before this was even we knew this was possible. We've talked about the WrestleManias, the Final Fours. We've talked about Super Bowls. All those things are become real.
A Buckeyes game in that.
Of course there will be.
Game would be in that stadium.
Of course there's going to be a Buckeye game in that stadium. They're going to go to 16, and it'd be so easy. They have a football Ferrari down there. They'd rather play in pristine conditions. So, yes, they would do those type of things. It's a win for everybody in the region, win for the state, win for the organization, win for the fans.
Yes. A win for the fans.
Everybody talks about how they love going to the frozen games and the cold rain games. A lot of empty seats.
Yeah.
You know why? Because it sucks.
Because it's not fun. Yeah.
It's not fun. No.
So,
for the one time that it's a beautiful snow globe, Jameis beating Pittsburgh, there's 8 times where the stadium's half full because the weather stinks and you're hiding in concourses not watching the game.
Yes.
And that's the reality of it. So. All right, we will go around the league coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, let's go around the league. Presented by Leaf Filter, official gutter guard of your Cleveland Browns. The Eagles have reworked the contract of veteran offensive tackle Lane Johnson. The restructure adds $8 million over the next 2 years, an additional $30 million in guarantees. He's now under contract through 2027. Their process is the process.
Simza.
Is that Simsies? Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, how about it?
How about it? Good job out of Simsay. No, their process. They are the model franchise.
Well, and we've run our franchise in many ways like that. We just have not gotten the quarterback or hit on some things, but some of the salary cap things we do, the way we do extensions and restructures and all of that, we're the two teams operating on that plane.
Yeah.
We just unfortunately have not gotten the quarterback right.
No. It's wild. I mean, to win 2 Super Bowls over that time, to be relevant almost the entire time, and to do so with different quarterbacks. I mean, they drafted Wentz, and he was great, and then it didn't work out, and they pivoted. It's good drafting, it's good development, and it's good organization. This one from the Steelers, this is veteran Cam Hayward, who is fed up waiting on a decision for Aaron Rodgers. This is from Hayward on his Not Just Football podcast.
Ain't doing that darkness retreat. I don't need any of that crap. Like, either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't. That's simple. That's the pitch. Like, if you want me to recruit, that's the recruiting pitch. You know, Pittsburgh Steelers. If you want to be part of it, so be it. If you don't, no skin on my back.
I like that, and I think that's how a lot of people feel, and I think that's why this maybe isn't as slam dunk of a situation. People are not willing to, based on how the last 2 years have gone, obviously one not his fault due to injury, but then last year was there, and they were not very good, that it's not like they're going to bend over backwards to try to get Aaron Rodgers in their program. I think people are very aware that he brings with them not only talent, but distractions and other things that were considered maybe not necessarily so good for that Jets organization last year. And do you want my recruiting pitch? Do you want to be a Steeler? Cool. Not cool. We're the Steelers.
100%. And I think what I come away with it feeling is like this. I think if Aaron Rodgers is going to play football next year, it's got to be Minnesota, and I don't think Minnesota wants him. I think he put it out there end of last week, his folks, they got it leaked out that, boy, Minnesota's kind of intriguing, and if Minnesota wanted him, they would have signed him. That's what I think.
I think it would be done.
I think it would be done. Like, if Minnesota was locked, yeah, absolutely, then they would have signed him, and this thing would be done. Nothing is changing in the Pittsburgh Steelers scenario or the Giants scenario. He obviously is not crazy about either one of them. New York, probably because they're not anywhere near in terms of being a contender in a really tough division. And Pittsburgh, maybe that's a little overwhelming, like going into something that is very similar to Green Bay from a culture situation and a very set of rules. Like, he's not getting run of the kingdom in Pittsburgh.
No.
Like, they have Cam Hayward and Minka Fitzpatrick and TJ. They have gatekeepers say this is how you behave. Like, they're not going to put up with a bunch of nonsense and that type of divisiveness the way that he potentially could bring it. So, to me, I think it's trending more to him. He's not going to play at all.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Minnesota's in.
And I wonder if somebody really wanted Russ,
well,
he'd be signed too. I wonder if could he be done, or do you think he lands somewhere?
It feels like
say, okay, fine,
it feels like Pittsburgh is waiting on Aaron.
But at some point you can't.
But
you
can't wait any longer. It also feels to me like Russ would rather play in Pittsburgh than he would in New York, which is a little surprising. Or maybe New York says, you know what, we're good.
Well,
who is the quarterbacks? Who are the Giants quarterbacks right now? Who's on their roster?
Tommy DeVito. Yep.
Is that it?
I think so. Is Drew Lock still there? Tommy DeVito. They're visiting with Jameis, I think, today.
Lock is a free agent.
Yeah, so I think they're visiting with Jameis today. Jameis would be great.
Oh, yeah.
Malik Neighbors. Meet the neighbors. Break it in. Sand guy at a price.
Yeah, the only quarterback they have right now is Tommy DeVito.
The only quarterback that we've got that healthy is
Pickett.
Who's certainly
the only
more
quarterback the
accomplished
Steelers have is Mason Rudolph.
That's right.
Skylar Thompson is also
Oh,
on
yeah.
that
Skylar
roster.
Thompson.
Yeah.
Well,
jeez.
if you saw Skylar Thompson in Miami last year, you're not as concerned about that.
Yeah. Do you think he plays or not next
Who?
year? Rodgers.
I kind of am with you. I think like if he thought that if the Vikings were like, yeah, I would know we're good. If he wanted to play for the Steelers, I think he'd be a Steeler. But that sounds like Cam Hayward right there.
He's had enough.
Yeah,
It's done.
Yeah.
We're the Steelers, man. Come on. The Vikings have released longtime center Garrett Bradbury. The Eagles and veteran defensive end Brandon Graham announced his retirement today. My goodness, what a career.
Incredible.
That's forever.
Hoff? Is he Hoff? I don't know. We're going to pull it up right now.
Two-time Super Bowl champ.
I'm going to say no.
Probably not enough All-Pros is my guess. I guess there's probably not enough All-Pros.
My guess is in my mind, he feels like maybe a 1 All-Pro and maybe a 5-time Pro Bowler. That's probably what he feels like.
Like, he's definitely an Eagles legend. I mean, he has the greatest play in Philadelphia Eagles history.
Buddy, it's just 1-time Pro Bowl.
Okay.
That strip sack against Brady in Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl. 1-time Pro Bowl, 1 second-team All-Pro.
Yeah,
Only 1 double-digit sack season in his career. I wouldn't have had that, and that was in 2022 at the age of 34.
Yeah.
So no.
All with Philly.
No.
The whole run with Philly.
Yep. First-round pick out of Michigan.
Yep.
76.5 career sacks. Yeah, not a Hall of Famer, but a very solid Eagles legend. An Eagles legend.
Absolutely. Speaking of the Eagles, they added free agent pass rusher Azeez Ojulari, 1 year, $4 million on that contract. So Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham out, Ojulari and Josh Uche in Philly. Yeah. So they'll be just fine. All right, we're gonna have a mock conversation with John Costco here in just a second. Todd McShay's back in the game. He's at the Ringer now. The McShay report it starts with a breakdown of why Shedeur Sanders to the Browns makes a lot of sense. Here is McShay from his podcast on Shedeur to the Browns.
All I'm going to say is this: given everything that I just said, and it's your floor, a week ago I glossed over Cleveland taking Shedeur at number 2. Right now, I believe, and I want you to hear me when I say this, I truly believe Shedeur Sanders is in play with that number 2 pick for the Cleveland Browns.
Well, yeah. I mean, we were saying that at the Combine.
So he went on. He said, for starters, it's apparent that Cleveland is on the list of acceptable spots for Shedeur to land, which isn't the case for every team in the NFL draft market. And while I've reported that 2 teams who interviewed Sanders at the scouting combine weren't overly impressed, it's worth noting Cleveland was not one of those teams. I also made some calls to people I trust who have been in that GM seat, who are or have been in that GM seat for their perspective on the situation. Shedeur's skill set is strikingly similar to the handful of quarterbacks Stefanski's won a lot of games with in the past, including Case Keenum, who won 11 games, Kirk Cousins, whose team won 10 games under Stefanski, and most recently, a late career Joe Flacco, who went 4-1. Although I don't really see how his skill set mirrors Joe Flacco. To me, he's more like, if he's going to be at his best in the NFL, he's going to be like a Cousins, a Goff, Burrow, Stroud light.
Yes. Yeah.
Purdy.
Yeah, really accurate, really smart kid, really tough kid.
Yep.
Would be somebody who the terminology offensively would be pretty close to a mirror. I'm sure just that they didn't run the same thing at Colorado because of what they had from a skill position standpoint and what they didn't have up front. But in terms of like the language, I'm guessing a lot of what Shermer uses is what Kevin uses.
Yep.
I mean, he had Pat Shermer as his coordinator the last 2 years.
And when Shermer was the OC in Minnesota, Kevin Stefanski was his quarterback coach. So we are going to have, there's no doubt in my mind, we are going to have incredible insight into exactly what Shedeur Sanders is as a quarterback. Perhaps better insight than any team in the league.
I think we have better insight than any team in the league on both.
We should have very good insight. There are a lot of ties to the U around the league.
There are, but Glenn's pretty locked in on that. So, yeah, and this goes back to what we said. We don't know who they like more, but they should. Yeah. And if they like one more than the other, because they're different, they're very different tastes. I think both can be studs.
I do too. But if you think there's a gap, if your evaluation, then figure out get that guy.
Yeah,
go do it.
Go up there and get it done.
Go do it.
Yeah. So this is going to be. It's going to be. When's the draft? April 20. Is it the 6th, 7th? When are
4th. 24th through the
26th. Great B. Lynch.
24 through the 26th. B. Lynch popping around. Good to see.
Good to see him.
Yeah, so you got a month, little more than a month before the draft. So pro day starting today. This stuff's starting to get pretty serious on that side of things. All right, coming up next, John Costco, Pro Football Focus. He is a big fan of Jackson Dart. What does he see in Dart versus Sanders? What does he make of these quarterbacks? He will join us coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. It's presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. We are presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. And speaking of Ballybet, add more fun to your fandom with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Download today, get 50 back in bonus bets. You place your first wager of 10 or more. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time to head out on that Twisted Tea hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. He is John Costco, great friend of the program at Pro Football Focus, and he joins us there. You have a very recent mock draft out as well, my friend. Before we get into that, and as you match all of those things up, I don't believe we've talked to you since these quarterbacks have been in the mix, and now you've had a lot of time to study them. In terms of the guys at the top, who do you love? Where are the question marks?
Hey, Bo. Good to be on the program. Yeah, these guys at the top of the board. You know, I'm a big fan of just all three of these quarterbacks. I think they all have NFL caliber traits and capabilities to become franchise quarterbacks. And so, for me, the reason why I would say you take them, high in the draft is because they have those capabilities. Sure, they have red flags to their game. Shedeur Sanders, I think all these guys, Sanders including, they have issue of taking too many sacks, and I think that's a trait these guys all share. But I think when you look at like Sanders, for him, he played at a really bad program. He had to overcome a lot. He ended up taking a lot of sacks because of it. Dart actually got better against the better competition with his red flag there and a question mark there. And Cam Ward, it was his first year in a big time program, and he excelled there at Miami, and he got better from his time at Washington State to there. So for me, I see all these red flags these guys have, but I see what their ceiling and their capabilities are from their positives that you take away from it. And if you have conviction on the guy, you take him at the top of the draft.
John, all right, let's go through Ward, Sanders, and Dart, that's the three that have kind of separated themselves. With Cam Ward, let's go with, give me one or two reasons why you think he can be a top 16 quarterback in the NFL, and then if it doesn't work out, what would be the reason that you think it wouldn't?
Yeah, I mean, this guy has probably the best arm talent of those top three guys. He's got a natural throwing rhythm, and it's not a traditional throwing style, but I don't think that matters. You see what can work at the NFL. He makes a lot of big time plays. He's an athletic guy. He plays kind of almost like Big Ben back there. He's not obviously as big as Ben, but he is a powerful quarterback, and he's a mobile quarterback. And so I think he can develop as a passer where you want him to be able to do that because he has that athleticism. He can make those exciting plays and those big time throws. He had 31 big time throws in 2024 alone. And I think so. I think he can. That's the reason why he can succeed in the NFL. What things that needs to work on, potentially why he wouldn't work out, is I think he tends to hang on to the ball a little bit too long, passes up what's the easy stuff underneath to kind of keep the chains moving or just to get a couple positive yards. He's always looking for that big time throw, and a lot of times it happens to his detriment. Sanders, I love what he's able to do with a really bad team at Colorado. If you take him off that team is not a playoff contending team. Mm-hmm. They're probably getting 2 to 3 wins for them. So he came into a program that was one of the worst in college football, elevated that program to playoff contention in 2 years, and had one of the worst offensive lines in all of college football, one of the worst running games in all of college football. And it was basically all on his shoulders, and he was able to do that. He stood tall in the pocket against pressure. He took some massive shots under pressure with big-time throws. Again, his issue, though, was taking too many sacks. And a lot of times you'd have actually a clean pocket, would scramble out of a clean pocket right into some pressure and take a sack, trying to do too much with what what was there, sometimes needing to throw it away or maybe taking that check down option like Ward would need to.
John,
and for Dart,
let me just jump in real quick on those two, because it's very good stuff. I don't think that people factor in at all how talent deficient Colorado was relative to their competition almost week in and week out. I don't think that is something that's looked at, and to me makes what he did all the more impressive. On the other hand, with Ward, so the two things, right? I think it comes from the same thing with Ward and Sanders, trying to do too much. And I think one of the big questions with projecting either one of these guys or both of them to the next level is how Are those things that, over time you've seen that are able to be coached? For example, can you get Cam Ward to be like, just take the layup. We don't need to hit a home run on every. Just take the easy one here. Don't try to make every play a chunk play, even though he is a chunk play machine. And then for Shedeur, I think a lot of times he probably had to be seeing ghosts. I mean, I remember there was a stretch in the Baylor game. I think he was sacked 5 times and then still in 5 plays and then still made unbelievable plays and rallied his team around that afterwards. How do you evaluate taking the traits and then also taking then, the weaknesses, understanding the circumstance of the weaknesses, and then are those things that can be coached out of them at the next level?
Yeah, let's go back to last year's class. Jaden Daniels was similar of that mold where he tried to do too much when things broke down, and he took a sack or scrambled for it on over 52% of his pressure dropbacks, which is an insane number, which is kind of like what you'd see from like a Sam Howell, and that was the guy I compared him to in terms of just that stat, because Sam Howell obviously went into the NFL and then continued to take sack after sack. We saw it last year. Jaden Daniels was phenomenal when things broke down. He was smart with his scrambling decisions, and then he was smart with checking it down when he needed to. So you absolutely can develop that skill and that trait, because as long as you get the right coaching and get the right environment around you, I think these guys can thrive better. And especially like you said, like we had just talked about, like Sanders on that Colorado team. I think he was really just trying to eke out as absolute much every single play that he was trying to, knowing that the talent deficiency that they had, and he needed to try to overcome it. So, I mean, it's definitely, you've seen it with even Lamar Jackson. He's gotten a lot better at that over the course of his career. Josh Allen is another guy that really improved over his early in his career to even now, where he was taking more of those checkdowns. A couple years ago, he was taking a lot of really bad sacks and then always trying to go for the hero ball. And he's been a lot better at that, especially the last 2 years.
All right, let's talk about Jackson Dart. You're the first one I've seen with this ascent out of Dart. I've seen others that have had him mocked in, but you have him and Shedeur kind of in a similar category. One thing that I do, and I'm not pretending that I'm following scientifically the way you are in terms of your analysis from the PFF perspective, but I'm always curious, like, how do you do against light competition? And he did struggle in their biggest games last year. Now, how many were light competition, who knows, but they had a couple opportunities. They should have beat Kentucky at home, those type of things. And when you look at Dart, what do you like about him, and so much so that you have him in it seems like a similar category as Shedeur?
Yeah, the reason why I like him is that I think he's got the tools to be an NFL quarterback. And then when you actually just look at the data profile, he actually has the best data profile. And, I try to mix as much as I can with, like, I have to like him on tape for sure. Mm-hmm. Like, if I don't like him on tape, it doesn't matter if he has a really great data profile. Like, Dalen Gabriel has a great data profile. I don't like him as a prospect at all. I think he has a guy that would maybe take a day 3 type of flyer on. But at least with Dart, he's athletic, he's got the size, and he's got the arm talent to be able to thrive in the NFL. And that Ole Miss system is as far away from an NFL system as you possibly can be. But so was the LSU system. So is, like, many college systems. Like, the college system is any college system is as far and away from an NFL system that you'll get, that projecting these guys, hey, this system didn't work for this guy, so it's not going to work for him either. Like Will Grier and all that type of stuff. That to me, that doesn't really, I don't really hold that up, because it's either you evaluate the guy or you don't. And for Dart, he has the arm strength, he has the accuracy, and the accuracy is bore out. And I like what I see from a tape perspective, and on a data perspective, he delivers balls very accurately down the field, and he doesn't miss very often. So I think for me, it's like he's accurate, and he can make good decisions. And you look at also, from the intangible standpoint. So an example at the Senior Bowl week, there was a play I remember that they simulate these plays in practices, and he had a 4th and 2 on the goal line, and basically passed up 2 wide open options on that play, and ended up taking a throwaway, and it was a bad play for him. Like, obviously not good, but then they ran that same play in the game, and he was able to find his open receiver for the game-winning touchdown in the Senior Bowl game. To me, I see, all right, that's growth from a player that I can see that he's learning from a very similar, actually, like situation there. And then you also talk to people that were at the Senior Bowl and how he was interacting with his teammates. He was actually trying to help coach them up and being really active in doing so. So he was leading his team out there. So, like, those things kind of do matter. Is it measurable? No, not really. It's not really. You can do that, but you have to look and see as that person as a whole. Can this guy, lead an NFL franchise? And he was one of the only guys out there that I've seen in these Senior Bowl years. The last guy I saw do it as much as him was Jalen Hurts, but he was a leader out there, and I think that matters.
Well, here's the other thing. I don't think people realize how good an athlete he is. He would run it at Ole Miss. I think he ran for like 1,300 yards, dozen touchdowns the 3 years he was there. He would stick his nose in. He's a tough kid, and he's a plus athlete, isn't he, John?
Yeah, let me give you just a stat. He's absolutely a plus athlete. He'd probably run in the 4.7s type of thing. He averaged almost like a forced missed tackle like 1 out of 4 times per run. That was better than Jalen Milroe. And he had 25 explosive runs against Power 4 competition, which was also better than Jalen Milroe. And if anybody knows anything about Jalen Milroe, that guy's probably running in the 4.3s. That dude is an elite athlete at the position. So he was more efficient running the ball than Jalen Milroe was as a scrambler or just a runner. So Dart absolutely is a plus athlete at that position.
It's funny. I didn't realize this when I asked the question, but I just pulled up his game log. 3 biggest games they played at the end of the year. They went Georgia, Florida, Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. He ran it 8 for 50 against Georgia, 14 for 71 against Florida, and then in the Egg Bowl game, he ran it 13 times for 77 yards.
There you go.
So,
he can do it.
Is there – so the one thing when we went through, and I definitely am starting to watch more tape on Jackson Dart. I'm early in my process with him because I was really just focused on Cam and Shador for so long. But one thing that kind of jumped out to me, and you have a much better handle on him that just kind of wasn't necessarily red flag but was interesting, is that in 5 of the 8 games in the SEC, he completed fewer than 60% of his passes. And that just struck me as very odd. What did you make of that?
It's so part of it is like, when you watch these games and not every single incompletion is made equally.
For sure. For sure. But
right?
Other quarterbacks have no games with under 60% in college.
True. Yeah, it's just true. So like you look at the Florida game for an example, right? Yeah, that game he had, he threw the interception at the end of the game, which was not good, which is obviously, like, you're down to 7 points and you force an interception into triple coverage, not good or whatever. They had 6 drops in that game. So, you're talking about his receivers not really helping him out in that game. And I think from a ball placement standpoint, like, we chart this and we specifically look at, did this guy throw an accurate pass or not when he was aiming that throw? And he was one of the best in like actually PFF history in terms of ball placement from 5 to 25 yards down the field. So, there's part of it of like, there's throwaways that happen that obviously hurt your completion percentage. And there's obviously drops that will hurt that, hit as thrown type of stuff, batted passes that will hurt that. But I think, for me, it's not too much of a concern. There is a consistency issue there, obviously with the number of games you're completing under 60%. But I think for me, if he can be more consistent with his mechanics, which we've seen, from a tape perspective, I've seen a ton of really good mechanical movement. He's consistent with it. I think you see it multiple times in NFL recently, especially with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, guys that maybe were inconsistent or struggled with their accuracy in college, and they've gotten better as they've gotten to the NFL. And for me, Jackson Dart was better than those guys in college from a ball placement standpoint. That the consistency part of it is where you want him to obviously get better.
And it's interesting. So that's this quarterback thing. Obviously, that is the big thing for the Cleveland Browns, obviously, to get sorted out this season, and they have an opportunity to do that picking number 2. I want to ask you, though, about number 33, because pick 33 is an opportunity to add another very quality player to this organization. Who are some of the guys you like for the Browns at 33?
Yeah, you talk about the back end of the first, the top of the second. It's hard to obviously imagine who's going to be available there, but this is such a defensive line heavy draft. I think that a lot of those guys are going to be pushed up, and it could potentially push down a guy like Egbuka from Ohio State into that range. Even if you're looking to fill in those the second edge guy, that a lot of people thinking that the Browns are going to be taking Abdul Carter at number 2. That's a lot. I think probably the most popular pick for the Browns, even though they just signed Myles Garrett to obviously the big extension. You could look at a guy like Nick Skirton from Texas A&M at that edge position, or Michael Williams out of Georgia. Those guys might be available down there at the bottom of the first or top of the second. But even offensive line would be where I would love to see them go, which would be like a Josh Connerly out of Oregon, or maybe a Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. Those guys, the Browns would want to obviously be able to have a weapon for Shadur Sanders. Let's say they take him at number 2,
weapons.
or to protect them at that. So I'm a big fan of the weapons. I'm a big fan of being able to protect them. You just look at it's wait to be seen if they make a move for another wide receiver in like maybe a trade, because we know how Andrew Berry does love his trades for wide receivers and how he hits on them quite often. So it'd be interesting to see what happens throughout the next 37 days until the draft or so, whatever it is. So I think a wide receiver, if like Ibuka drops down there, would be a great pick for them.
Home run from your mouth to Goodell's ears,
let's
buddy.
do it.
We'd take that for sure. Appreciate you as always. Thanks for your time today, pal.
Hey, my pleasure, Bo. Nathan, it's great to be on the program tonight.
Yeah, great to have you, brother.
All right, there he goes, John Costco, Pro Football Focus, one of the best in the business on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Keep a look at the quarterback tracker, also a little bit of higher or lower coming up as well. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, the preferred provider of copiers and document services for your Cleveland Browns. They'll tackle any size office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. They must be doing the Higgins Chase presser today. I see Mike Petraglia, good dude down in Cincinnati. There is a image on the televisions around the facility, here to stay, and it's the three of them going out for a coin flip 195. Nice day for them.
Yeah, very nice day. You couldn't want anything else. They're going to be fun and they're going to be competitive. Just keeping that core together. I really think. How are they going to figure the rest of it out? Okay, but I feel like they're going to figure it out.
Well, the reality
they have the
is
part figured out.
Yeah, they have the hard. Yeah, the score points part's the hardest part.
Yep.
The rest of it, how to get a stop here or there, you figure you sort those things out.
Yeah.
There is no update, by the way, folks, on the quarterback available. Like, there's nothing. It's at a standstill.
Yep.
There isn't anybody signing anybody anywhere right now. The Rodgers domino has to fall first. Once that falls, I think the others will maybe fall into place. But I think everybody's kind of waiting on Rodgers and then the trickle down of that in terms of that. Us, the Steelers, the Titans. Titans do have a second-round pick in Will Levis, who's started games, so like they wouldn't have to go that route if they wouldn't want to. We need to add to our room. Pittsburgh needs to add to their room, and the Giants need to add to their room in a big way.
Yeah, that is the league. The only sure thing is you can't win without a quarterback, and so you've got to obviously, if you believe, and again, I'll have this caveat out there all day long. If nobody believes that these quarterbacks can become top 16 quarterbacks in the NFL, maximizing their potential and being brought into a good environment as I think a quarterback would be here in Cleveland, then you don't draft them. But if you do, then you draft them, and that's that.
What did you make of Tracy Morgan losing at courtside last night?
I don't know. It looked like he was very ill. My buddy was at the game. D-Strom was at the game.
He was at the game.
Yeah, he said they delayed the game 15 minutes. Like it was a big to do.
I mean, the images were quite
disturbing.
Yeah. That was not good.
No. Yeah. I hope he's okay.
I do too. Yeah, and he was in that crazy car accident, and so he's had some things. It was great to see him on SNL when they did that, but but that's the way that goes. So, that was crazy to see that last night at MSG. All right, we got a little higher or lower coming your way next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. If a car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused your injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK, Ohio for a free case for you. Elk and Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Eric Edholm released his post-Wave 1 free agency power rankings yesterday afternoon. Time for a little higher or lower. Hello, G-Man.
Hi. All right. It is official. Everyone is 0-0 again.
Oh, baby.
Throw all the rankings out. Number 1 for Eric Edholm. He's got the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes, to be the man, you got to
Understandable.
beat them.
They won the Super Bowl. How about that?
Yeah, I think it's.
He has the team that they beat the Kansas City Chiefs at 2. We'll start at number 3 with a AFC North rival.
Do we have a list of this? Is this
Yeah, you got
yes,
a list.
it is in front of you.
right there.
Yeah, G-Man,
Right
you're a
there.
legend.
He's got it. He's ready.
We'll start at 3 with the Baltimore Ravens. Higher or lower?
Better
Start
or
with
worse?
How did they lose at Buffalo this year?
Better or worse?
Oh,
Better or worse?
No Gibby. Kev coming up big.
That's what it is.
That's awesome.
Are they better or are they worse than that?
Yeah.
I mean, I think right now they're sweet spot. I think they're appropriately ranked right there. That would be my top 3. The Chiefs beat them. They're not yet there.
It's interesting though because you do the to be the man to beat the man.
Actually, they lost to Buffalo, right?
That's where I was going. Yeah.
Yeah, so then they got to go down.
Plus Buffalo
I
added
forgot. Buffalo beat
added
them.
Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they got to go down. Rock.
great rock.
Yeah.
She is striding out. Yeah. So I think
So they go down. They
Buffalo
are
beat
worse.
them. I think that the 3 teams at 3, 4, 5 have the most pressure in the National Football League for next season.
And at 3, 4, 5 would be respectively the Ravens, the Bills, and the Lions.
I mean, they've got to go. I mean, you got to go. I have no idea. I mean, we don't do DLD anymore. We used to host Lions Daily in addition to this, so we probably knew the cap situation of the Lions at that time, so I don't. But my hunch is they're going to have to pay a bunch of people probably pretty quickly, and they better take advantage. I mean, they have brand new coordinators there.
Yep.
It's possible you could argue last year was their year.
They got decimated.
I know.
They lost their entire defense to injury.
Just bombed by injury. But them, the Bills, and the Ravens, like, man, if not now, when?
That's why I'm keeping the Lions here at 5 because I believe Bills, Ravens, Lions. I know the Lions lost to the Commanders in a shootout, but I think healthy, I still like this Lions team better. But I do like this top 6. I would put the Commanders right there. I like this top 6.
Yeah, so Commanders were at 6, and I want to make a pit stop here at these couple of NFC North teams. At number 7,
G-Man Cam. Yes.
yes, G-Man Cam. Hello.
Hello.
All right, go ahead, G-Man. Sorry. Go ahead.
Minnesota Vikings are at number 7. Obviously, some questions as to who the quarterback's going to be. Everybody's suggesting that J.J. McCarthy, his time starts now. Still waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Will Kevin O'Connell and company come to him and say, hey, why don't you come on over and finish that Brett Favre career path off? Minnesota Vikings, number 7, higher or lower?
Worser.
Worse.
It's going to be
Better or worse?
Thank you, Kev. JJ is going to be, at best, the view of a rookie quarterback who had 2 surgeries. And right now he's their quarterback. So I don't think that they are. I mean, I got to see it with him. Show me state, baby. So I think Minnesota goes down.
Okay.
Worserer.
I agree. Vikings down.
Worserer.
So that takes us to 8, which is the Green Bay Packers. I am never high on the Packers. I especially wasn't this past season when they lost to the Eagles in the first round of the playoffs. I don't know. 8 feels high to me for the Packers. I want to know what you guys think, though.
I think it's about right for Green Bay. I mean, let's do the tranche thing.
Okay.
Because sometimes that's the best way to do this. So I think you can go all the way to 5, and I think commies are right there. I think
I
1
put the
through 5
commies
are
in
there.
6.
You have them in?
Yeah.
To me, they're right on the bubble of being in or not. It's like, can Jaden do it again to the level?
But it's the NFC Championship game. I'm willing to keep them in the top 6 because I think that they're otherwise they have to be their own tranche,
Yeah, it's true.
which I'd rather just put
Yeah,
them
you
at the
can put
bottom.
them in.
The bottom of
they
the
were the
top.
question for me, so you convinced me. Let's put them in there. These are true blue, do nothing, show up Super Bowl contenders.
Okay.
1 through 6. Okay. Then this next group, I think the next group is, I would label almost as Super Bowl contender if.
Okay.
So, for example, I think the Green Bay Packers are in Super Bowl contender or if. I think the Minnesota Vikings could be in this.
Yeah.
If JJ's good, that
Yeah.
could, if for sure. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are a Super Bowl if. The Chargers are Super Bowl if. Maybe the Texans are Super Bowl if.
Yeah, I like that.
But I don't think that the Rams and the Buccaneers or the Broncos are Super Bowl if.
Well, I think the Rams could be.
You think?
Yeah. The Rams
Maybe.
played Philly tougher than anybody last
They
year,
did.
and they added
They
Devontae
did.
Adams. They've got a great
They
young
did.
defense. They kept Stafford.
It's a big gamble on Stafford, that just aging, all of that. But yeah, the Rams are probably close.
Yeah, Rams.
They
are
might be
half.
in that mix.
Yes. The Bucs.
But I like the
don't think
Bengals
are.
and the Chargers way better than the Rams.
Yeah, I actually have the Rams, Bengals, Chargers, and Texans all moving up from their current spots where they are.
Yeah,
And
so
I had the Bucks moving down, the Vikings moving down.
so
I'd
let's
have the
inform
Broncos
everyone
behind
where
the
those
Chargers.
teams are.
Go ahead,
Okay.
G-Man.
Go ahead.
Good job of traffic copping out of you. Great job.
At number 9 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At 10 is the Los Angeles Rams. 11 is the Cincinnati Bengals. 12 the Denver Broncos. 13 the LA Chargers. And then at 14 is the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
So you're saying a lot of those
saying
teams should move up.
all of them move up. Tampa Bay comes back.
I think Tampa's probably at 9 because they did have a pretty good start off to free agency there. I mean, they gave Godwin a lot of money. Hassan Reddick comes in.
When Godwin just broke his leg or whatever. Like he had a crazy.
So question mark.
I just
there.
I just think there's a hard ceiling.
It's
on
what it feels
It
like.
just you whack your. To me, they're not any different than Pittsburgh, with like Russell Wilson, or
Yeah.
like the Seattle Seahawks with Geno. It's kind of like, all right, you win
Good.
10 games. You're in a bad division, so you're good. You can win 10 games every once in a while. You can spring an upset because Bay can get hot. We've seen it.
Yeah.
I just don't think that there's a ceiling of like, hey, go track down a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
So you mentioned the Steelers. Mr. Edholm has them at 15.
I don't know how you have them at 15. Just stay there for a second. See, how can you have them at 15 when the only quarterback they have is Mason Rudolph right now and Skylar Thompson?
You
That is
can't.
not the 15th best team
No,
in football.
You can't. You can't.
I mean, you got them better than the Niners with Purdy?
And the Niners, right? The Niners are struggling, or even I think a Bears team has a chance
Seattle?
to ascend. Arizona.
I'm
looks
sorry,
like it was ascending.
I'm sorry, Chicago, not Seattle.
Like for Atlanta, who correct
It's
me
got
if
Dallas
I'm wrong,
22.
beat Tampa twice last year, and feels like they're a team on the ascent. To
Yeah.
have them 12 spots below the Bucks seems a little bit wild to me. I kind of had it. This is kind of a next tier, and I think Carolina actually has a chance to do something. I'd put Carolina in this tier too. I think Carolina is going to be better than people think. I don't
You
know.
have Pittsburgh in there
in
with
the
Carolina?
third tier, like Pittsburgh, Bears, Seahawks, Niners, Cardinals. But I'd like the Niners better than them. I like the Cardinals better than them. Dolphins, I'm not sure what they are right now. I like the Falcons better than the Steelers right now.
I like Dallas better than Pittsburgh right now.
Dallas.
Give me Dak Prescott and some weapons.
Yeah.
I'll take that over.
And I'll tell
Right
you what,
now, Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson.
I think the Titans are sneaky. To me, these are teams that like could make the playoffs. Steelers, but maybe you're not thinking about them doing anything. I still think the Niners are so well coached that, especially Salah's going to be back there, that maybe they'll have a bounce back year. But they're just so decimated. They've had to lose a lot of talent as well. But I mean, if they're still rolling out there with Purdy, Ayuk, McCaffrey, and Kittle, like they're not going to be trash.
No, they're not. No. And the division's not crazy,
No.
you know?
So rounding out the top half of the league is the Chicago Bears at 16. And then you got the Seahawks 17, the Niners are 18, Cardinals 19. Miami Dolphins are at 20. You want to have a conversation about the Miami Dolphins at 20?
I think you've got 6 teams in the, like, for sure right now, bona fide Super Bowl contenders. I think you've got another 6 in this next group, like Super Bowl if.
Who are your 6 in there? You had Green Bay, Minnesota, the Rams, Bengals, Chargers, Texans.
Yeah.
So the Broncos are kind of in no man's
And
land
then there's
a
a
little
new
bit.
category to me that's like Broncos, Tampa Bay. They might be their own. So, I mean, actually, Broncos, Tampa Bay, Niners,
Cardinals, Dolphins. Those are kind of
Atlanta.
all similar. Atlanta.
Yeah, they're all kind of similar.
Thing
Dallas
that's different
might be
with
in
the
there too,
Broncos, though,
honestly.
thing that's different with the Broncos is they got a quarterback on a rookie contract, so you got to go.
They
Yeah.
do, but
It's just tough in their division where I just
It's
feel
so
like
brutal.
they're third in the division, and that's a complimentary third.
I also am curious, like, where did Bo Nix's season match up with where it kind of, I think it is in my head? Like, was he better than I thought? So, yeah, 66, 37, 75, 6.7 an attempt, 29 touchdowns, 12 picks. That's what Bo Nix was, year one. So, I mean, that's kind of like a Bake here line. That's really similar to a lot of the Bake lines here where he was 66, 67%, 37, 29, and 12. Bake had at least 1 year like that here, maybe two. That were very similar to that.
Yeah.
His first year in Tampa was like that too. So
the Falcons are 21.
To me, that seems like...
Yeah.
Are we bought in on Michael Penix? I think that's the big question.
Here's the other thing. What this exercise right now, I think, does a great job. Always have the lids. This exercise does a great job of proving the point we stumbled into last week of the middle class. It's huge.
Huge.
I mean, my God, you could take the middle class. You could go all the way, and then it becomes like young quarterbacks ready to go. Like it's Carolina, New England. I mean, the Jets and Raiders are just completely middle class. The Saints are completely middle class. I mean, we'll get to the bottom of it, which is wild.
They might be lower class.
But that's the other thing that jumps out to me here. Like,
but
what is the big?
With Geno.
What's the difference between Dallas and Denver? That's 10 spots in Eric's rankings. If those two teams played, the line is going to be 2.5.
But I think that's a whole cluster. I think that's why you have to.
That's my point.
That's a whole tier.
That's a whole tier. There's like 10 teams in this kind of group of like they can't win the Super Bowl, but they could make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's like a third of the league.
Yeah, it is. It's a middle class that got fat
quickly. That was almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Colts are there too. I mean, with Daniel Jones, I think, and then you mentioned it's young quarterbacks that are ready to go. So the Colts were 23, Panthers 24. You got Bryce Young. Patriots 25. You got Drake May, and then you mentioned Raiders.
Those
Jets.
three in a row. Raiders, Jets, Saints. He's got them 26, 27, 28. Those three teams. The Raiders traded for Geno Smith. The Jets paid Fields $30 million guaranteed, $20 million a year.
Total $40 million, yep.
And the Saints kept Derek Carr. That is the personification of what we talked about.
Yeah.
Like, why? At least with Fields, you can take, well, we're getting a bite at an apple on a first-round pick, but we're going to run out more of Carr if you're the Saints. And just kind of, to me, like, and the Raiders one, I get it because they need to start creating some excitement. They need to win some games in that market because they get overrun in their own home stadium.
Yep.
But what are you ever going to win in that division with Geno Smith? He's going to put up a bunch of numbers to Bowers. They'll be competitive, but you're not winning. You're not overtaking the Chargers or the Chiefs. So then what's the point?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, and then they've got us at 29. And then Jacksonville 30, Giants 31, Tennessee Titans check in at 32 to round out those rankings.
I don't make a habit of doing this on our own show, but how are we ahead of Jacksonville?
I
mean, they have Trevor Lawrence.
They have Trevor Lawrence right now. They should not be as low as they are.
No, they should be ahead of the Saints. They should be ahead of the Giants. They should be ahead of the Raiders. Like, I wonder what's this. And by the way, they got your boy, the receiver, Brian
Thomas.
Thomas.
Yep.
Love that guy.
Yeah, I mean, they got weapons.
They got
running back weapons. They got receiver weapons.
And they're in a pretty.
Like, how are they 30th? And they're in a wide open division.
New coach.
Duval.
Maybe not a lot of belief in Liam Cohn after that.
I mean,
they
just
did. They did have to make
depth
some
chart. I just am curious, like
difficult decisions. I mean, they cut Evan
Josh
Engram.
Allen.
So, yeah, I mean, it's
the other Josh Allen.
Oh, remember De'Ami Brown? We talked about him a lot. Gabe Davis, who was like the 1 year, like you got to pick him in fantasy.
But then they let Evan Ingram go. They're doing some weird
things.
things.
Brian Thomas.
Let Ronald Darby go.
I mean, they have two backs. They have Etienne and Tank Bigsby.
I think Cisco's gone as well.
Cisco's gone, yeah.
Again, they have Lawrence. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
at that point, you're.
To me, they should be up at like 25.
Like, are we sure that they're worse than Carolina?
No.
Carolina finished the season. What has Trevor Lawrence shown you so far that makes you that confident in it?
No, it's true. He has not been great in the pros.
He is not, but it's just. just think like in the end, like he has to be what we think he is or close, right?
Yes, I think so.
Like I would bet on
Eventually,
him
at some point.
Like for example, if Trevor Lawrence somehow became available,
I would want him.
I would want him.
Same. And he is not available. People reach out and they're like, absolutely not available.
No, like play the game. Like if I mean it's March 18th.
Yeah.
Let's have fun for 2 minutes here on this. If Trevor Lawrence were available for the number 2 pick in the draft, and you could make it work money wise,
in a world where you could, then yes, I think absolutely.
He's 25.
Yeah,
25.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's got our coaches.
He's got 2 4,000-yard seasons, over 7 yards an attempt, all three of the last 3 years. 2 years ago, 66, 41, 13, 25, and 8 picks, 25 touchdowns. Yeah, no, I believe in that kid's talent.
Same.
So they need to be a little bit higher up. You do the game of like, would you want to be in these guys? Like that's why that's an attractive job. Ownership is bought in; they're willing to spend. And you have a 25-year-old quarterback.
And he did have a just disastrous start to his career with
Urban. Yeah, we talked about that many times. Like that's probably the poster child of, other than like expansion team, like Tim Couch here or David Carr in Houston, the Lawrence situation in Jacksonville is probably the worst situation a rookie quarterback's ever been put in.
Yes. Yes. You know, it's crazy. So I'm going through this right now.
Mm-hmm.
As it stands today, and I'm trying to do it as it stands today, Mason Rudolph was what, a 3rd-round pick?
It seems.
I think that's right.
Yeah, I think they took James Washington and Mason Rudolph in back-to-back rounds.
All right. So as it stands today, here are the quarterbacks in the NFL as it stands today. Eagles have a 2nd-rounder, Chiefs 1st-rounder, Ravens 1st-rounder, Bills 1st-rounder, Lions 1st-rounder, Commanders 1st-rounder, Vikings 1st-rounder, Packers 1st-rounder, Bucks 1st-rounder, Rams 1st-rounder, Bengals 1st-rounder, Broncos 1st-rounder, Chargers 1st-rounder, Texans 1st-rounder. So those are the 14 teams that we think can win the Super Bowl. The one exception is
Jalen Hurts.
And that includes, let's see, top 10, 1 top 10, 2 top 10, 3 top 10, 4 top 10, 5 top 10, 6 top 10, 7 top 10, 8 top 10, 9 top 10, 10 top 10 picks, and many of those are top 5. Steelers would have right now Mason Rudolph 3rd.
Yep.
Bears 1st-rounder, Seahawks 1st-rounder, Niners 7th-rounder, Arizona 1st-rounder, Miami 1st-rounder, Falcons 1st-rounder, Cowboys 4th-rounder, Colts 1st-rounder, Panthers 1st-rounder, Patriots 1st-rounder, Raiders 2nd-rounder, Geno Smith, Jets 1st-rounder, Saints 2nd-rounder, Browns 1st-rounder, Jags 1st-rounder, Giants 1st-rounder, because I'm giving them Jameis, Titans 2nd-rounder.
Yeah, so you're looking at 4 seconds, a 5th, a 3rd, and a 7th as it stands right now. Everything else is a 1. And at least one of those 3rds, Mason Rudolph, is probably going to end up being a 1.
Yep.
It's probably how that's going to shake out. Yeah. Boy, it's funny. I don't know when this was done, but Orlovsky was on something this morning saying the Titans should trade the number 1 pick for Trevor Lawrence. But Jacksonville's not in, man.
Not in. No.
In division, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, this is why I said this earlier when we were talking about the Kuiper Jeremiah drafts. There's just nothing going on right now. And so, hey, give us a mock draft to discuss.
Give us something.
Give us something, baby. So that's where those come from, and that's how you end up with, Orlovsky saying some of the things he says there. But I do think when you go through this and you look at 1 through 32, and you think of, I mean, you could really argue that 1 through 30, 1 through 29 feels like they're a playoff team in their head, or they could be. Is there anybody if you put, as it says right now, us, the Giants and Titans out of it because we're trying to figure out quarterback and we're picking first 1, 2, 3 in the draft. We don't know how that's going to shake out. I mean, I don't know that the Jets think that, so maybe they don't. But I think the Saints probably think that. Jacksonville thinks that. The Raiders must think that for what they're doing. New England might not think it. Carolina probably does.
Carolina definitely does.
Yeah. Indy, Dallas, Atlanta, Miami. I mean, that's everybody but 4 or 5 teams that are as of right now think they're playoff teams.
Yeah.
Not enough spots to go around, buddy.
No.
So
not at all.
There's that middle class conversation we've been having over the course of the last week or so. So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Jimmy Trania, who we've had on from Sports Illustrated. We mentioned earlier in the show that Major League Baseball did its opening day in Japan this morning, so it was Dodgers and Cubs over there. Trania reporting Fox didn't have its A crew call MLB's season opener and then didn't even send the backup crew to Tokyo.
Nope.
Making them call the game remotely.
Nope.
Because it was Benetti that called it.
Nobody cared.
But he didn't go to Tokyo to call it?
They
He
didn't
called it
send
from here?
anyone
They didn't
there? Is that wow.
So
I
they
feel
just
like I
took
would
the
be pretty
Japanese
bummed out.
feed and then he just called it off the TV.
Yeah. Which I don't think is all that easy to do.
That's Fox.
In the big
Yeah.
2025.
For the opener, it's
What's it
very
cost to
strange.
send a guy over there?
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Couple grand at most?
for the two of them for the whole time they're there.
Yeah. For a weekend? What are we
Like
doing?
tariffs on it or something?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's just such a strange thing to kick off. And I know that football is now totally America's game and all of that. But, you know, this is America's pastime. I just think it's a very odd way to start the season that way and do it kind of out of the public eye altogether.
Feels, yes, I think you put it very well. It's like they want to do it, but they want to act like they're not doing it.
Yeah.
Like, we love, you know, our best players right now are from this country. The best player in this sport is from your country. And we got more coming all the time, and we're a long way from Hideki Nomo. Long way.
Yeah.
And
but when does like the baseball season actually open? I mean, I
It's
realize
a couple
it
weeks,
has
isn't
opened,
it?
But yeah.
yeah,
So I don't get
couple
it.
weeks.
It's the 24th, I think.
Is it really
Yeah, it's the 24th or the 27th.
1 minute.
that far in advance? That even before I always thought it was like right after the NCAA tournament, or like the weekend of the Final Four.
That'll be mid-tourney.
I feel like the tournament also used to be a lot earlier.
The tournament used to be over by it was the final Monday in March,
Yeah.
or the very beginning of April. So it'll be that way too. It'll be like April 1st or 2nd. That's normal.
The tournament used to
NCAA
be
tournament.
over earlier.
30.
WrestleMania
30.
used to happen earlier.
Well, the NFL draft happened earlier.
Well, we
too,
got
that
we
year.
got Alabama State and St. Francis tonight, and we got
that should be
North
that
Carolina
should
and
be
San Diego State.
Major conference bubble teams, not automatic qualifiers. Should not be
Totally
playing
agree.
down there. It's ridiculous to make those teams as automatic.
They
qualifiers.
qualified.
Yeah, put them in the big dance. Dayton's fine. They do a nice job. That is not the big dance. It is
Agreed.
not. The next level's coming up next. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.